We have lots of NHL news to talk about today, including some pretty significant signings, including guys like Sam Reinhart in Florida, Neal Pionk in Winnipeg. We also have some updates when it comes to next season and how things might be looking at some Canadian arenas, news in the Toronto Maple Leafs Amazon series, and some pretty significant updates on some Sharks trade rumors, especially around Evander Kane and Timo Meier. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a lot to talk about today. We really do have a variety of news and some trade rumors I want to look at here today. Now, first up, we had news today from Amazon that the Maple Leafs have a series coming out this October. In case you weren't aware, the Amazon had their video cameras following around the Maple Leafs throughout their entire playoff run, parts of the regular season last year. So they're doing one of their all or nothing series with the Leafs, and that is scheduled to be released on Amazon Prime on October the 1st. So if you have a streaming subscription for Amazon, you'll be able to watch that in its entirety. It's going to be 5 episodes, and it's all going to be released at the same time, so you can feel free to binge watch or whatever you want to do with it. Will Arnett will be the actor doing the voiceover, or the narration, I guess you could say. So obviously he's a big Leaf fan, so it kind of makes sense they'd go to somebody like him. Now they did release a quick trailer teaser as well today to get everybody anxious to watch this. There is words of Kyle Dubas you can hear saying that he's getting really frustrated. So we'll have to see how this turns out. We know how the season ended, obviously. They had a first-round exit, but there's lots of stories and things going on behind the scenes that we wouldn't be normally privy to. So I'll be curious to see when this series comes out, and hopefully it does well, and maybe Amazon will want to continue doing these with other NHL franchises. It's certainly fun to see behind the curtain and see what's going on in the dressing room and with the players, coaches, GMs, and just to kind of get all that inside intel that you don't normally have access to. So October the 1st for that. We did get an announcement earlier today from the Winnipeg Jets indicating that they are going to be planning to open their arena to full capacity for the upcoming season, but there was speculation that they wanted to clarify and kind of put it out there now just while everybody's talking about it, that they are going to require proof of vaccination to attend their game. So it's not really too shocking of a thing here. I think it's going to become pretty widespread. I know where I live, a lot of events are running at normal capacity now, but there is a lot of them that are requiring the proof of vaccination in order to attend and to kind of minimize the risk of COVID spreading around. So I'm not sure where they stand in regards to wearing a mask. I think you have to wear a mask for common areas, but I think you can take it off while you're seated. I believe, I'm not completely certain on that, but we'll have to see what they release in regards to that. But it wouldn't be shocking, I know in Canada, to see the other Canadian teams all have a similar policy, if not identical policy. I'm not sure what the American-based teams will do, but obviously, I know some of them were already requiring that when they were increasing capacity at the end of last season. We also have some signings to talk about here today. We got a pretty significant one under the Florida Panthers organization. They've announced that they've signed RFA Sam Reinhart, of course, who they acquired around the NHL draft from the Buffalo Sabres. He gets a 3-year deal at $6.5 million. For Reinhart, that's pretty good value, I think. I know Elliot Friedman was reporting that he talked to many teams around the league, and they felt if this went to arbitration that Reinhart was going to have a pretty good case, and the Florida Panthers probably didn't really want any part of that. So they certainly, kind of did what we saw in Detroit, really brought their offer up to try to get this resolved ahead of time, and they get the deal done. But to me, Reinhart's been playing on a team in Buffalo that hasn't had a lot of success, but he personally has continued to grow and develop and has really turned into a pretty solid top 6 forward who can play center and the wing and have a lot of success of both. So, to me, he's worth every penny at 6.5. So that's a pretty solid signing there. We got another good deal as well with the Winnipeg Jets signing defenseman Neal Pionk. He gets a 4-year contract, and his average annual value will come in at $5.875. So, I know when that deal first went down, when they had to trade Jacob Trouba to the Rangers, and Pionk was the focal point going back to them, I know some were kind of seeing it as an underwhelming return, but clearly the Winnipeg Jets saw enough with Pionk that they had a lot of confidence in him, and I must say he's improved a ton since he's been with the Jets organization. And you know what? In the 2 seasons now that we've had, I think it's fair to say that he's outperformed Trouba. Like Jacob Trouba at $8 million on a long-term deal with the Rangers in my opinion at least, has been very underwhelming for the price tag that he brings. Offensively speaking, Pionk's producing at a much higher rate. And Trouba had a 50-point season right before the trade. His value was at its highest when it comes to negotiating that contract, and his offensive stats have plummeted really ever since. Defensively, I think it's fair to say that these are probably similar players, but when it comes to, I don't have all the advanced stats to break them all down, but I just think based on what the Jets got out of Pionk, for that kind of value, imagine if they were stuck with an $8 million contract. I think they would take this contract and this player any day of the week over what Trouba's been playing like for the past couple years. So that was a big win by Cheveldayoff and the Winnipeg Jets in that trade, and I really like this contract. It does make things really tight, though, for their cap, and they do have to sign Andrew Kopp as well, and Kopp has proven to be a pretty important piece there in their forward group. Another versatile forward who can play middle six, kind of go between that second and third line, jump up in the lineup when need to, play the special teams PK. He's a pretty important piece there. So we'll see what they can do. They're already going to basically be over the cap and into LTIR that they can use because of the Brian Little contract. So it wouldn't be shocking if they do some sort of cost-cutting measure in order to make sure that they can be cap compliant and keep Kopp in the mix. But that's going to be another interesting contract to see how the Jets get that sorted out. Now, the Edmonton Oilers today also announced that they've signed young forward Tyler Benson. He gets a one-year deal, but it's a two-way deal once again. He'll still be able to compete, I think, for a roster spot. He's been a terrific American Hockey League player. At this point, if the Oilers don't want to put him on the active roster this year and keep him at the NHL level, I would consider trading him because I do think there's teams out there that he could play on and get more of a regular role, but it's a league minimum salary. He's guaranteed $150K, $100K AHL salary, but $150K total is what he's guaranteed on that contract. So overall, it's pretty decent for somebody who's not guaranteed an NHL spot. But he's also going to require waivers this year as well. So if they want to keep him on the roster, send him down, like they're going to need waivers and they'd be at risk to lose him. So Tyler Benson, it's difficult to say what his future holds here, but a decent contract to get him signed and see if this can be the year he can make that jump. Now, before we jump into today's trade talk, which is mainly focused on two Sharks players and Kane and Meyer, we do have to pause for a moment here and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Manscaped. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscaped. Of course, with Manscaped, we have a special offer here for all Top Shelf Hockey viewers where you can get 20% off and free shipping into all orders at manscaped.com. Now, of course, Manscaped just launched a brand new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is a fantastic product. They've taken the level up here, even again with the skin-safe replaceable blades. It's waterproof, it's wireless charging, has a travel lock on it, as well as a nice light so you don't miss what you're doing. So certainly a terrific product. Now, many people associate Manscaped with their trimmers, which is certainly kind of their top product, but they do have a lot of other great options as well, including what they call the Weed Whacker, which is another trimmer for your ears and nose. And they have a variety of deodorants and sprays as well, which also keep you fresh and are terrific as well. So certainly Manscaped has a lot to offer, and we certainly highly recommend all of their products. So check out manscaped.com and use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. So thanks very much for watching the Manscaped promotional video. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks again to the sponsor. Also, thanks to all of our channel members, everybody who's done one of those super thanks. If you watched down below here where they can like and dislike and all that, there's a super thanks feature there as well, which is basically like a tip jar, essentially. So it's a way to say to YouTube content creators, you know what, I appreciate your effort. Thanks very much for the content or whatever. That way you're not committed to any kind of regular financial support to the channel, but you can do whatever, small amounts as a donation just to say thanks, that you appreciate what they do. And we've had numerous people using that lately, and I just wanted to take a minute. I know I did a community post talking about that earlier, but I just wanted to acknowledge them all and shout out our channel members and people who have used that feature. All of your support is greatly appreciated. I can't tell you enough how much we've grown as a community in this channel. This last probably 2-3 months has been phenomenal. And we're certainly going to keep it going, and I'm going to keep grinding to give you as much as content here as possible that I can do, usually at least a couple of videos per day, to continue this this growth that we're on heading into the next NHL season. Now, talking about the Sharks. Now, clearly there's some major issues going on. We talked about before about Evander Kane, that his teammates don't really want him to be on the team anymore, that they, are kind of done with him for the most part, and that he could very well be done in San Jose. We've talked before about some trade talk earlier in the season before we knew more. There's been talk about Timo Meier in the rumor mill as well, because he's been a player that's been down, like his stats are, like he's, really faded the past 2 seasons here. But we get another big update, another substantial article from The Athletic and Kevin Kurz, who covers the Sharks, talking a lot about some more details here on this situation that we didn't know before that I want to talk about here today. So basically what it looks like, to summarize, I think partially why Meier is going to be in the rumor mill, not only has his production been down, but it seems like he's probably about the only guy on the team that's somewhat, and I stress somewhat, friendly with Kane. This article really talks about the fact that Evander Kane has no real fans at all in the team and the locker room. Meier's like somebody who tries to model his game after Kane, is kind of what the article was saying, and that he might have a little bit of a supporter there, but otherwise that's about it. So I do wonder if the Timo Meier trade rumors might have been because of that connection. I can't say that for certain. It just seems funny how a young player who's, yes, his production has been down, so I understand there's that, but just seems like there could be another connection there. But when it comes to Evander Kane, this article talks, and there's some players that spoke to The Athletic anonymously, and there's a lot of information here that talks about the fact that players were going to GM Doug Wilson many times throughout the NHL season and saying that Evander Kane has got to go. Like they've been done with this guy and frustrated with him. It's not like it's just because of the stuff going on in the offseason. That's just, that puts it over the top. Like, Kane has been a player that's been driving the whole team bonkers here, it looks like, for a year plus. And it's for a variety of reasons. Apparently he's been late to games and practices. He's been, talked to about dress code, which is kind of odd because normally when you do see Kane in public, he's, pretty dressed to the nines. Like he's one of the guys who seems to like to do that, but maybe he's not showing up appropriately with practice. I'm not sure where that comes from, but still that was referenced here in the article. Another big one, though, is poor practice habits. Apparently there's even been times through the season that he almost came to blows with assistant coach Rocky Thompson over power play positioning and trying to explain to him where they want him, and just kind of butting heads and being difficult to work with, not being very coachable. So, there's all those things going on as well. I think it's fair to say that Bob Boughner was kind of trying to let things take its course and hopefully it would sort itself out. But he even admitted at the end of the season that there were, things that needed to be changed to kind of get back to that San Jose culture. See, the article references here as well, which makes sense. There's been a lot of veteran guys that have left the organization in the past year or two. And at this point, nobody's really standing up to Kane to kind of keep him in check here. I know when he was first traded there, he had baggage coming from, between his time in Winnipeg and Buffalo. And a lot of people said, listen, if there's a locker room that he can be a part of and not be a problem, it'd be the Sharks. Because of the leadership there and the core guys like Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, they got Brent Burns. Paul Martin was there. He, even though he's not a big name, he's still viewed upon as a leader. Same with Joel Ward when he was there for a few years. Like a lot of names have left this organization that kind of not really police that, but that would be comfortable addressing that internally so that the coaches and GMs didn't necessarily have to. And those guys aren't there now, so it's kind of falling on guys like Logan Couture, who's the captain. You got Burns and Carlson, but apparently they just don't seem to want to deal with it, so they're kind of going to management saying, you need to deal with this. We are done with this guy. And I know we don't have names, but the article says that several prominent Sharks players have let management know that if Kane is on this team, that they want no part of it, and they don't want to be on it if he's on it. So it really creates a major locker room divide, except on one side, there's one guy standing there and the rest of them on the other. And it makes it tough on GM Doug Wilson. But Wilson apparently told some of these guys, the reference here in the article, that basically every team has its fair share of locker room issues and it wasn't a big deal. But that's not the case at all. The teams that win are the most cohesive. It's like a brotherhood in there. They don't have these kinds of issues. So that's not, and he would know that. It's just a case of it being a difficult situation. and him probably not really being sure how to handle it. There were reports that he's been trying to trade Kane, but because of everything, there's just no takers at this point. And it's to be honest, it's kind of his own fault. When he signed Kane to that 7-year, $7 million contract, he gave him as close to a full no trade. Like, he's got a very limited number of teams on a modified no trade that he can even talk to without Kane waiving. So, like, he's kind of backed himself into a corner here. He took on a player that came with a lot of baggage and was a locker room cancer. At least that's what a lot of people viewed him as. And now that we've seen the exodus of a lot of the other guys keeping him in line, now he's basically doing whatever he wants, and the team hasn't done anything about it. So, now his wife has come out and accused him of all these gambling issues that he's under investigation for. Like, Evander Kane basically needs to be done in San Jose, according to his teammates, or this is going to get messy. Like, this is not the end of this, and, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't imagine that Doug Wilson can find a trade for Evander Kane right now. Like, it's not possible. What team in their right mind is going to take on his contract, his baggage, and this investigation at a difficult time during this pretty flat cap era? Like, I wonder if they can talk to the league and if they can somehow suspend him so that it doesn't impact their cap or something while they go through this investigation process, or how long is this process going to take? Like, they need to figure something out and maybe see if they can, I don't know if they had grounds to terminate the contract because of everything. But they need to do something, because according to this report here in The Athletic, like, the Sharks don't, like, the prominent players, so we're probably talking, I'm assuming here, but like, Logan Couture, Erik Karlsson, Vlasic, Burns, like, all these veteran guys don't want to be there. So you can't trade everybody. It's easier to get rid of the problem than it is to get rid of everybody else. And like I said, I do wonder if Timo Meier's, being like his only somewhat small version of an ally has something to do with his trade rumors here too. So we'll have to see about that. But let me know your thoughts. What can the Sharks do about Kane? Is there any way they can trade this guy? I really don't think there is, but let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll discuss further. Are they going to find a way to trade Timo Meier instead? I'm not sure what they're going to do here, but they got to do something, because this is going to get ugly when the training camp rolls around if there's not a resolution. So let me know your thoughts down below. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, stick around. We will keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.